And also part of my job as a first sergeant is I can't send you out into a supervisory role that you're not prepared for. I know that we have BLC and SLC and all these online classes and residency courses, but in my opinion, they do not prepare the soldier to actually step in successfully for a supervisory role. It just doesn't do it. You have to be confident enough that when you walk through the door that first time in your new leadership role, that you know exactly how to conduct yourself and how to get started in that role. And that's not what these military schools prepare somebody to do, in my opinion. So that's where I come in. I will help you with that. I will prepare you for success before you get to that next role. Part of my job as a first sergeant. And then it comes to the part where here's what well, that's basically what they can expect from me. All those things are what they can expect from me. What I expect from them is what I said before with the minimums, the PT test, height, weight, shooting at the range, and showing up to drill. But also I say, look, I expect you to be an adult person. I don't care what your rank is, you're still an adult human being. You're expected to communicate well. You're expected to wake up on time. You're expected to take care of yourself. Wear your uniform the right way. You just be a mature adult person because we're not babysitters here. You're an adult member of the United States military. So I know that you can call somebody and inform them of something. I know that you can show up somewhere on time. I know that if you realize that you're missing something that you're going to need, you need to tell somebody about it so we can get that fixed for you. I expect you to check your email. Check your email at least once a week. If you're an NCO, I expect you to check your Army email daily. If you're not an NCO, you can get by with once a week. You need to read the monthly newsletter. You need to read the monthly newsletter. That's not an option. You must read it. I put notes in there. The commander puts notes in there. The full-time staff puts things in there that you're going to need to know to be prepared for drill. So not reading it is not an option. It gets sent to your email as a PDF. So make sure that the full-time staff has your current email address of an email that you're going to check. You need to be able to check it. I'm not going to send it to your military email if you have no way to check that. It's also your job to make sure that you can check your military email. If you can't do that, you need to tell somebody so we can get that fixed, because although we'll do you a courtesy of sending newsletters and things to your civilian email so you can actually read it easily, the big Army, when you get notices of classes, courses, anything official like that, it's only going to come to your military mail. And if you don't have access to that, you're going to miss it. So you're going to miss nifty duty opportunities, promotion opportunities, opportunities for schools, all those things you're just going to miss if you don't read your military email. So that is a requirement. You must do that. So all in all, this conversation probably takes 15, 20 minutes. It's not a short conversation because I have to establish a rapport with this individual. I can't just say a couple of sentences to their face and expect rapport to be established or trust. But when you invest the time to really let these soldiers know that you're in their corner and that you're here to help them, and that you're not going to spare any effort to help them, and that you'll meet them halfway every time. If you put forth half the effort, I'll put forth half the effort every time. They like that. They invest in that immediately, and I think that sets the table for a very beneficial, productive relationship moving forward. No matter who their first line supervisors are, people come and go, which brings me to another point, that at some point they're going to leave the unit, or at some point I'm not going to be the first sergeant anymore. That doesn't mean that I'm no longer a resource for you. I'm a resource for you until I'm out of the military, at least. So you go on to another unit, I go on to another unit, you still have my phone number. You can call me for anything. We still wear the same flag, we still wear the same uniform, so I'm still a resource for you. Drive that point home. They start getting the idea that this guy's for real, that he's in this with me. he wouldn't spend this much time repeating himself as often as he does when he doesn't have to, if he doesn't really mean what he's saying. So despite, the soldier will be thinking, despite my other experiences with where I've been before, I like what this guy's saying, and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt until I ruin it, which I'm always on point not to ruin that. I also make the point that, being a first sergeant is a very big responsibility. And every time I put on the uniform, I'm earning that rank. And if every time you see me, I'm not actively trying to be the best first sergeant ever, then I'm failing. And you should expect that high of a standard from me. With every drill that I prepare for, I try to find something different, something new, something beneficial to bring to the soldiers, something for their development in some kind of way that they haven't seen before or that's good for them to do. And in preparing for the last drill, I came across the names of fallen soldiers that we've had in January of 2019, and there were several of them. And just through my process of research and looking things up through the course of the day, I came across a ceremony called Final Roll Call. And that's where the unit leader calls a roll, and the soldiers that have fallen can't answer. And after that roll call is given, taps is played, we render honors. And so it's a very moving, very emotional ceremony. It doesn't last very long, but it's very impactful. And in my 12 years in the Guard, I've never been a part of a final roll call. Okay, usually the final roll call is done within the unit that the soldier belonged to. And I'm sure that happened. I'm sure that these soldiers' units rendered them the proper honors. But it's my job as a first sergeant, and it's my honor to bring to my soldiers military history, tradition, and ceremony. And that's exactly what this final roll call embodies. And since I haven't been a part of a final roll call or seen one in person in my 12 years, it's a pretty safe bet that these soldiers haven't either, and they might go through their entire Guard career without ever even knowing what this is. So I said, we're going to have a final roll call. It's going to be for these soldiers that fell in January. So I put together the script of how it was going to go in formation, the names. I had somebody bring in taps for us to use. I prepared the people that who I was going to call in formation that this was going to happen. And this was all organic to the unit. We didn't have any higher level support. I tried to get a chaplain, but none was available, so we didn't have a benediction. So Sunday afternoon, when we had final formation, I explained what was going to happen to the unit so they knew what this was about, and then we did it. And that was the final act of the day. After we dropped our salutes at order arms, I had the platoon sergeants take charge, and I walked off, and that was our dismissal. And I did it that way because I thought it would leave an impact. If that was the last thing that was done in their duty day, then it would last. I didn't want to muddle it up with other comments from me or other people or further work. It had to be the last thing of the day. And so we might not ever do that again. That might be a one-time thing. But at least that once, it brought home to them what we're a part of, what they're involved in, the chances that we take, and what could eventually happen. And that there are units out there, there are soldiers out there looking out for the soldiers that have fallen to give them the proper respect. I can't think of anything negative that would have come out of me holding this ceremony that we did. And I think it was very well received, and I'm really glad I did it. I also want to say a word about discretionary effort. Discretionary effort is just that. It's stuff that you don't have to do, but you do it anyway. And to succeed, to excel in the National Guard, it takes a ton of discretionary effort, because you're not going to advance quickly just showing up every month for 8 hours on Saturday and 8 hours on Sunday. For example, I'll use myself as an example again, these videos that I create. Total discretionary effort. I'm not getting paid for this. Nobody's telling me to do this. I'm doing this for one reason, and that's that some other soldier, that somebody else can get something out of it. Because if I'm a good soldier and I don't pass that along to teach somebody else how to be a good soldier, then what was the point of me being a good soldier? So that's the point of these videos. And in my role as first sergeant, there's a ton of discretionary effort. The fact is that I could do extremely little as a first sergeant, extremely little, and still be okay. Still keep my job, still get paid the same amount for drill, and still advance my career and retire when I'm 60. And I could do that with very little effort. But when I research and conduct things like final roll call, or these videos, or the other classes that I either teach myself to the unit or help other sergeants teach. And here's another thing. As first sergeant, I'm the head trainer for the unit. I'm the training supervisor because I'm the head NCO. But I've also found that so many soldiers, even sergeants, really aren't very good at teaching courses. They've never been taught the right way to instruct. So therefore, they really don't want to instruct, and a lot of times instruction just doesn't happen. They don't take that initiative to give those kinds of classes or encourage other people to do it. So I take it upon myself to do that. And so I'll teach classes to get a block of instruction across, because you're going to learn the subject of the class. And number two, to show what good instruction looks like and what good preparation looks like for that class. So I can't expect excellence out of my soldiers unless I first display that to them. Because as much as I want to think that they've already got that in the bag and they got that figured out, I know from being around the Guard that that's mostly not the case. But it's just not talked about. So yes, I'll stand up there. I'll give the first class, and I will explain in detail why I'm doing it and how they can be successful. And that I'm not going to let them get up in front of a class of people and give a bad course. That they're going to be prepared for success. And when you drill into the person's head that you're on their team and that you're going to prepare them for success, and that they're not going to fail, they're more likely to give it a try. And when they do good that first time, they're just going to want to keep on doing it and then impart that to other people. And that's the whole point.